fundamentally creating a different environment. There'll be people who disagree with me and say you can't do both, but I just think you can, and we need to, which is why I'm so tired.
We don't need you to be tired, Natalie. We need you to be provoking.
The chat train is pulling into Nat's Provocation station.
Indeed, Henry. This is the time of the show where I like to provoke you. And there's lots to talk about in this provocation because... Do you want me to start again?
No, carry on. I'm listening.
Because last Saturday, we had a wonderful event here at Chapel FM Arts Centre that I kind of co-coordinated, and we brought together, it was called the Climate Action Seacroft Community Forum, and we brought together lots of different residents in Seacroft, organisations, third sector, activists, different people, and said, let's firstly have a kind of seasonal celebration. It's autumn, and we did apple juicing, as we mentioned before, in the forest garden down the road in the afternoon, and then all came together and had stalls and activities, and then moved into the gorgeous chapel performance space where there was performances and poetry and discussion and presentations. And I'm really excited about this format that we're kind of experimenting. This is the second event that we've done in this way, as a means of putting into practice a lot of what we've always talked about, which is trying to bring our skills as performers and people who understand audiences and the protest and community organising elements, and bringing them together also with organisations and with people who have like resources. And how do we bring that together in a format that works really well? And I feel like I'm kind of on the cusp of it. But without further ado, we are gonna hear the introduction from the live part of that event.
And you started with a Commoners Choir song, our dear friends. So it starts off with a track called These Are the Hands. These are the hands, 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 these are the hands. And after the clapping has faded away, remember what we learned today.
For the second Climate Action Seacroft Community Forum. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. I wanted to start the evening with that song by the Commoners Choir, because these are the hands in this room that are going to do some work tonight. These are the hands that have turned up. These are the hands that can definitely make a difference to our community and to the lives that we're all living. That's what all of us involved in Climate Action Seacroft believe. If you don't know me, my name's Natalie, and I'm the hub worker for Climate Action Seacroft, and we are a group of residents living here in Seacroft and surrounding areas who wanted to start taking grassroots community action, getting stuck in, getting involved with all kinds of projects that you're going to hear about tonight. We are all also part of the wider We Are Seacroft network, which involves organisations like Chapel FM, LS14, Kentmere Community Centre, Dennis Healy, all that kind of stuff. So we're so grateful to you all for being here tonight.
Yeah, so that was a little taster of the introduction. So some of the things that I'm just reflecting on are how you start the evening with activity and stalls. So we had someone who's volunteers at the Forest Garden making little bird feeders with pine cones. We had a clothes swap, people donating free clothes and just taking other clothes. We had a winter coat, they call it a winter coat exchange, but you're just giving away coats. And that was organised by Zero Waste Leeds. More stuff that was like giving out bulbs and related to our planting activity that we're doing.
And we've fed people. Gorgeous dal, because it's really important that food is part of this conversation is about growing.
Yeah, 100%. So and also the We Are Seacroft Collective have had a soft launch of their new website. So all the different organisations, churches, schools, art centres, community centres are all collaborating to have all their information in one place. So that that kind of very practical advice on the energy crisis, where people can get support, what what funding is out there, what allowances are out there, where you can get advice and help, that sort of stuff. So there's a bit of how did you find that atmosphere in the beginning?
It's really communal. Like, people are there to have a conversation. Like, people have come because it's curated, but it's not controlled. It made me think about how actually when you go on a protest, you stand in a certain place and you're given a placard and you chant, and the best things come afterwards when you go to the pub. And the best conversations do happen around gig venues, or they happen at occupations or sit-ins when you have time to reflect and have a conversation, rather than like there's a place for anger, but there's also a place to build and discuss and connect.
I think that's exactly what I'm trying to hone in on, is the conversations that we've always had after a protest, particularly a poor protest, when you've come away and you don't feel empowered and emboldened and like you've done something that evening. And then you go away and you go, oh, do you know what? The speeches were too long. There wasn't enough time and space to kind of talk to anyone. I don't really know what they want me to do now. Like, what's next? And we kind of have those moans. And I know George Monbiot also writes in his book, The Age of Crises. He talks about like how to get a protest right. And this forum is a way of me trying to hone that. And go, we understand what a performer can do to an audience, and what live discussion can do, what music like the Commoners Choir and film and spoken word can all do. And then we get that energy in the room and immediately take it downstairs to go into an organising space and invite people to go and have those conversations with people, get big pens and paper out, have that sort of, as you say, very loose. It's still tea and cake and people can mingle and do what they want to do. But like, we came away from that event with stuff had got done that would have taken 50 emails. Doing this publicly, and obviously the tickets are free, is also an opportunity to just come and find out more and to invite people in. And sometimes that's really difficult, right? We're constantly, I was disappointed by numbers, that there wasn't more new faces in the room. And how often do we say that about gigs or meetings or whatever? But it's still important to continue to make that invitation and to go, right, if we do this twice a year, then eventually it has to start building and you get new faces in. But our dear friends, Naomi and Lydia, at the end of the night said, don't forget, it's quality, not quantity. And these two young men who had just never heard of us, never been into this place before, had just seen the apple juicing in the forest garden, were curious, went and checked that out. And then they ended up coming to this event and like contributing in such a beautiful way. So it kind of makes it all worthwhile for me.
You right, Macrum? You're gonna Macrum brilliantly has come along. Sorry, I put you on the spot. I said I wouldn't, but I was lying. You were just passing the forest garden and decided to you saw some apple juicing, and now you've ended up here tonight. Brilliant. Give Macrum a massive round of applause. And Cam as well. Thank you so much for coming. Do you want to tell us, have you got any ideas around what you'd like to see happening in your community?
To be honest, no.
That's all right. I put you on the spot. I get what I asked for, don't I?
But, the only time I knew about these happenings was just pretty much today.
Yeah.
But it's very good to know this. Like, all this common altruism is very, very interesting. Brilliant. And I'd for one, would be very intrigued to be a part of it.
And we are definitely going to welcome you with open arms. Thank you both so much for coming. And common altruism is exactly why everyone in this room is here. So thank you for being, you're part of the gang now. Part of the gang.
Common altruism. Gonna put that in your PhD, Nat?
Yeah, there's something about sometimes young people just, that's why we work with young people, right? Like they just talk straight from the heart and come out with something as beautiful as that. And, you know, in the moment, obviously I'm hosting and I've got 1,000 things running through my mind. but reflecting on that, and he just was speaking so purely, and I, got the impression that, well, like he says, doesn't he? Like he'd never heard of this stuff before, and speaking to him afterwards, he was like, "This is completely new to me." So, absolute credit to them for being bold enough to take the microphone, and they contributed other ideas and stuff in different parts of the discussion, which was amazing. And then they came to a workshop, right?
Yeah, so his younger brother Cam came along yesterday and is starting to get involved. So like once you're in the gang, you're in the gang. But what it made me reflect on was, if you go back a few episodes to when we're chatting to your friend Freya, who's also a community theatre director, and we talk about working with young people, and we talked about sometimes you go, what do you want? And young people don't have the language to imagine what they need. And does that thing when you go, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I don't know. I just want to be here. I just want to experience this. And through that experience, community and getting involved, then you give options and you build ideas. But you can't start from scratch. You have to create the conditions to come up with fresh ideas and approaches.
Exactly right. And it's creating the conditions for positive conversations and for getting people in the right frame of mind to go, yes, I can do this, and yes, we can, feeling positive, and asking people, I gave everyone a provocation at the end of the evening to say, I want you to think about what problem or provocation do you think you could solve with these people in this room tonight?
Yeah.
And we got some stuff done, like stuff around Naomi's going to be carving 50 pumpkins with kids this weekend. She's like, all that is going to go to waste, and how do we stop it? And 4 people got around the table and organised pumpkin bins, and how they're going to go around with a wheelie bin and collect stuff up, or they've researched what how they can give with every pumpkin that's carved. You can get a recipe for pumpkin soup, and there's things that it might be small, but actually that's mighty in the power that you can demonstrate. Look what we can do when the right conditions are in place, and how powerful is that? And of course, in terms of creating the right atmosphere, Henry, I can always rely on you. So you were my closing act.
My mission was that I was going to work with another poet and community organiser called Natalie Davies, and she was asking people for suggestions and ideas, which I talk about on this clip. And I took all these and I turned it into a poem. So this is the closer. I was the closing act. I know that we're, sort of horizontal organising, but I was the headliner, right?
Totally.
And finally, we've had a fantastic poetry activity going on downstairs. And here, ladies and gentlemen, I want to put your hands together. He's your best friend and mine. He's a legend. He's fantastic. Let's give him some energy to do the best poem in the world. It's Henry Raven! How was that?
That was all right. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Shall I use this one? Or maybe I'll use that one and annoy Elliot. So I was going to do a little poem. So to the Natalie, but not that Natalie, to the other Natalie, had a lovely stall where she had these 2 lovely things. The head of the earth, thank you very much, Ivory, and the poetry. If Rachel, if you could show off the poetry. And so one of them was practical things, one of them was poetic things. And after fantastic Natalie's amazing encouragement, we have a collection of thoughts which I've penned down in this poem, which I'm going to read for you now. So here goes. Pop that pinging phone down. The people here today have thoughts pinned into Gaia's foamy head. The world will burn if we don't stop now. Better to burn than fade away, better to boil than wash away. Stop waiting for the shower to be boiling hot. This movement's gonna take all we've got. Hey, fossil fuel industry, maybe you should stop. Because the kite... So was that too close to the camera? I'm sorry. This is like the behind the scenes of the poem. Don't worry, we'll edit it afterwards, it's all fine. Hey, fossil fuel industry, maybe you should stop because the kite's stuck in the tree, but not in thee. Reverse the snowball, get excited about nature, let's go to the supermarket and the refill centres. How long will this branch last? The world will burn if we don't act. The trouble with feelings is they don't have all the words to match them. The trouble with anger is it's a word that we throw around. The trouble with hope is it's a word we need to grow. The trouble with nature is it doesn't make me calm. Teach the next generation to have a strong radar to stop and disarm greenwashing. Instead of the world, we should be burning. Our hearts and minds and fury like a broadcast fire. We are the fire and this is the fuel. Vote with your heart. Better to be active today. Better to burn than fade away. Thank you very much. Cheers. Can we get a round of applause for Natalie, please?
Let's go save the world with tea and cake downstairs. Thank you very much. Let's go, go, go.
It was good. It was a good night. It was lovely.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. I'm going to be comparing this to different formats and thinking about how we can do it more. I really, really hope that we can keep doing this. I think I'm onto something.